So I know this is a bit of a subjective, flawed logic, especially when it comes to quantity versus quality, but I sometimes rather take a gamble on 325 quid, maybe possibly not so good games, rather than one 60, 70, or 80 AAA title. And I saw a trailer a while back when indie developers were promising to do good by the players, and obviously, I want to get behind that sort of stuff. So I bought Forever Winter last night, I played it for a bit, and I want to talk about it in today's video. So if you have a few minutes to spare and you want to stick around, or if you have something to contribute with, feel free to drop a comment in the section below. So let's tango. Now, I didn't know much about the game because I like to enjoy these blind playthroughs with as little information as possible for that shock value. I'm hoping that the game mesmerizes me to the point that I want to come back to it. I want to play it more, I want to learn more about it, and not the other way around. And as far as I understood, you go on scavenging missions and collect resources to keep your bunker running, and you do so in a post-apocalyptic environment. Now, the game set me back 26 quid. I believe there's a promotion that it's running until sometime in October. Claim 84 gigabytes of hard drive space or SSD space, and I'm running a Ryzen 5 2600 and a 1070 Ti with 24 gigabytes of RAM. Now you'll see on the screen how this setup compares to the spec requirements to play the game. So you get your gradual shader building. I didn't wait to see if there was an introduction video or a cutscene, and I just pressed OK, load the game. Now this is gonna sound a little bit like nitpicking because it kinda is, but the first thing I check on settings is if there is a native option to change display monitors. I run a 3-monitor setup, and I don't always want my center monitor to be my number one or primary monitor, and I couldn't find an option to do so. The Windows key arrows doesn't work all the time, and then it's a little bit messy sometimes to just change display modes, just to move things around. So I look for a native option to do so. There wasn't one. It's a little bit sad, but it is what it is. The rest of the options, I just left them as is. I didn't check for any keybinds, nothing. I just wanted to jump into the game and see if it was easy enough for me to understand it and then navigate through, or if I had to just really go in and learn things about the game. So I go into the tutorial mission and I can see some stuff is still rendering. I usually blame it on my low specs, so I'm not going to be here complaining about that. Off the bat, the movement didn't seem too responsive. It seemed like a little bit clunky, and it's definitely something that I could get used to, but it didn't feel quite right from the bat. I was using normal WASD mouse look combo, space to jump and climb, and it never crossed my mind to pick up the controller because I don't like to play with the controller when I'm at the PC. I only do it for certain games. I only use it for driving or flying or something. So it didn't feel like this game was going to be something that I would enjoy playing it on a controller. Now there's a few Q-tips on how to pick and drop things around, basic help to manage your inventory. Now, when it comes to the information being displayed, I find myself glancing to the HUD around only when I really need to do so, because I prefer the minimal disruption. I want to focus on what's the center of the screen, and I don't want numbers flashing and stuff all the time. Ubisoft, I'm looking at you and your trash HUDs. And I try to enjoy the game without worrying too much about knowing all this information all the time and always getting fed with the information. This is what's happening. You move a step and then here's like you move yet another step. A rough idea of things around, it's good enough for me. Just how many bullets you have left, what's your health status, stuff. So check if objectives are complete. I want to focus on the center of the screen. Pretty sure this might not be the best approach for this sort of game, and you might need to have all that information all the time. And then if that's the case, then maybe this is not the type of game for me. So when it comes to firing, right click to aim, left click to shoot, it felt like I was aiming right, but not quite hitting things. And this was just a tutorial, but maybe I have to level up shooting or just gradually become more proficient at it. It felt like something that I had to get used to it a lot, and it didn't just come in naturally. It felt like a bit clunky. I didn't think it was easy enough to track the all that status during the gunfight, and I really don't care much about like using heals or anything. I just wanted to try to get through the gunfight, and my first impression wasn't really interesting or compelling. I really didn't like it. I don't care to do more of that if that's the sense, and so I died in the tutorial. So there's that. I'm one step closer to become a games journalist, am I not? So once I make it to the settlement or bunker or whatever you want to call it, I went around checking the different terminals. There's loads of them with a lot of things to do. There's maps and quests and armory, tech and resources and whatnot. And there's so much information that after the second or third the terminal, I didn't feel like I was too interested in reading and learning all about that stuff. It just felt like there was just stuff thrown in. Now, I'm on the side when I rather have things being introduced to you slowly. This can work as well, obviously. I'm not going to complain on the design choice. I'm sure that there's plenty of people out there with plenty of time that want to get into all these things and then just want all that information and they just need that. But in my case, I just felt like it was a little bit overwhelming. So I had a quick glance at the different characters. I like the cartoonish design. I just picked one. Then I went looking for the mission terminal, clicked a few things around. Looked like it worked, so here I go on my first mission. I went solo because I didn't want to drag anyone with my misery or to my misery. And from all the collect water messages that I was getting around the place, I felt like I needed to go out and collect some water. So movement didn't feel any better. I like the music, very ominous, very spooky. And I went around looting here and there and picked up things from the ground. Now, here's the thing. I saw a few mobs, and it's funny the way I just couldn't tell straight away if I was meant to engage in a fight with them or not. I felt like I had to, but it wasn't that obvious, at least for me. And at this stage, I realized that I missed a whole lot of lore, and I wonder if I had to go back and look at all this information for this to make sense. And I felt like it was just so much hard work when it could have just been told in the game. So it was a bit of a situation of fuck around and find out. So I opened fired on them, and then they opened fire back, and I found out. So some words were said. I died. That's okay. We move along. So I'd say this much. This would be great fun with friends. If you get a squad going and you go around collecting water, but it didn't captivate me enough to the point that I wanted to come back. I didn't find it was worth investing my time playing it. And no offense to the work put in by the developers. I think this was kind of cool, but if this was a little bit cheaper in the 10, 15 euro range, I would have kept it in my library and say like, here's some money. I hope this helps with development, and I hope that you guys get like the game going. But in this sense, I really didn't like it. So for the 26 quid, I didn't think it was justifiable to keep it in my library. I'm sure that there is a target audience for this game, and I'm sure that they're out there, and I hope that they're having like the blast playing this game and are really enjoying it, but I'm clearly not the target audience for this. So what I want to say is best of lucks to the developers and everyone involved in the project, and I hope that all the players that are playing this like are really enjoying, and I hope to see you all sometime in the future. Thanks for hanging out with me. Stay metal.